Cruise lines don't just sell vacations, they design entire worlds that quietly shape how you move, eat, and spend. From hidden fees buried in free perks to onboard tech that knows more about you than you realize, these ships are built to steer behavior as smoothly as they steer through water. Now, once you see what's really happening behind the smiles, you'll never cruise the same way again. Stick around for the bonus tip at the end. It's the secret even frequent cruisers overlook. Secret 1. The booking illusion. You're scrolling late at night and a banner hits you. Flash sale, limited cabins, free perks if you book in the next few days. It feels like you just stumbled onto a loophole in the system. What you don't see is how carefully that deal is engineered. The countdown timer, the only 3 cabins left line, the non-refundable deposit label 3 clicks deep. All of it is there to push you into a specific sailing on a specific ship in a specific fare code that gives the cruise line way more control than you. And once you grab that promo, your options quietly shrink. Changing dates become expensive. Switching ships is suddenly a hassle. A better sale shows up a month later, and you realize your fare type is locked and cannot be repriced without a fee or losing your deposit. You feel like you chose the line, the ship, and the week. In reality, the revenue system chose what you would be allowed to change later and dressed it up as a limited time win. It is picking the fare that lets you walk away, move dates, or reprice when it suits you instead of when it suits them. Secret 2. The cabin mirage. You pick your cabin and feel like you just locked in the whole vibe of the cruise. Ocean view, balcony, sounds perfect. The photo shows sunlight, clean lines, a cozy bed, and that little table where your morning coffee will live. It feels safe, almost guaranteed. But cabin category is only half the story. The other half is where that exact room sits on the ship. 2 balcony cabins at the same price can live completely different lives. One is midship on a sandwich deck, where it is quiet and stable. The other is under the buffet, above a lounge, or tucked right by a service corridor where carts roll all night. The booking engine doesn't show you clanging plates at 6 in the morning or baselines bleeding through the floor at 11 at night. It just says balcony and lets your imagination do the rest. Now, this is how people end up paying almost the same money for completely different realities. One person naps to the sound of waves. The other lies awake listening to chairs scrape and doors slam. The ship sells you the view. It's up to you to protect the sleep that comes with it. Secret 3. The invisible spend engine. The first time you tap your cruise card, it feels harmless. No cash, no coins, just a soft beep and a smile across the bar. It doesn't feel like spending money. It feels like unlocking vacation mode. That feeling is not an accident. The entire onboard system is built to separate the moment you say yes from the moment you feel the cost. Daily service charges roll along in the background. 18 to 20% gratuity slides onto every drink and spa bill. Photo deals, bingo offers, and today-only sales appear when you are sun-tired, slightly buzzed, and relaxed enough to shrug and go, why not? Individually, none of it feels big. A cocktail here, a coffee upgrade there, a little gift from the jewelry shop, one specialty dinner, a raffle ticket, a massage. The folio that tracks it all lives in an app you rarely open. The cruise line is counting on that. The real hit doesn't land until the last night when you finally scroll the bill and try to remember when half those small charges happened. By then, every yes is already baked into the total. On paper, it is a cashless system. In practice, it is a frictionless one. The less it feels like spending, the more you do. Secret 4. The crowd script. Embarkation feels random when you're in it. You drop your bags, follow the signs, and just go where everyone else is going. Security, check-in, awkward welcome photo, atrium, buffet, central elevators, pool. It feels organic, like everyone simply chose the same things. They didn't. The ship chose for them. Every this way sign, every rope barrier, every open door is part of a pre-written flow that moves thousands of people like water. You are steered toward the most visible elevators, the loudest bars, the biggest buffet entrance. Staff stand where they're told to stand, always pointing people in the same direction, keeping traffic looping past photo backdrops and revenue zones. This is how the ship prevents chaos and drives spending at the same time. If everyone hits the atrium and Lido first, shops, drink stations, and photo teams are guaranteed a rush without needing to sell individually. You think you're choosing the most obvious path. In reality, you're working the route the ship rehearsed long before you arrived. What changes everything is noticing the pattern. The moment you see that every crowded area has a quiet twin, one deck up or down, the entire cruise feels different. Step out of the rope maze, take the side stairs, use the forward or aft elevators, and suddenly you are not stuck in the swarm. You're still on the same ship as everyone else. You're just no longer letting the ship decide where you stand. Secret 5. Duty-free isn't always a deal. You wander into the onboard shops and it feels like you just stepped into a loophole. Tax-free liquor, designer perfume, shiny watches under bright glass. The signs whisper that you would be silly not to buy now. No tax sounds like an automatic savings. What you do not see is the quiet adjustment behind the scenes. Yes, the ship can skip local sales tax at sea, but prices are often set high enough to protect profit first. That duty-free bottle of whiskey or fragrance can still cost more than the exact same item in a port shop or back home. And there is another catch with alcohol. Most of the time, the ship holds your bottles until the very last night, so you're not even buying something you can enjoy on the cruise. It is essentially a pre-packed souvenir. Duty-free only works in your favor when you already know your numbers. Take photos of price tags. Compare them in port or online when you have real Wi-Fi, and only buy when the math actually checks out. The view from the shop might be oceanfront, but the savings are not always deep. If these secrets are already changing how you see cruising, hit like and subscribe so you don't go into your next sailing on beginner mode. And once you spot how tax-free isn't always a deal, it gets a lot harder to ignore how many other parts of the ship are tuned to work exactly the same way. Secret 6. The moment it clicks. At first, a cruise feels like pure spontaneity. You wander, you discover, you say yes to whatever sounds fun in the moment. The ads promise do as much or as little as you want, and it feels true. Then, somewhere around day 3, little things start to line up in your head. You notice the upsell booth that appears outside the theater right after the show. You realize the drink of the day is always highlighted near the busiest pool bar. You catch how every big announcement seems to land just before a shopping seminar, a bingo session, or a jewelry event. You remember the booking funnel that pushed you into a non-refundable deal. You remember how your balcony category hid the fact that your room sits under a noisy venue. You see how the private island path nudged you through every paid experience before you reached the quiet sand. That is the moment it clicks. The ship is not a random floating hotel. It is a closed ecosystem tuned to move bodies, attention, and money along specific paths. Not evil, not good, just extremely optimized. The important part is what happens after that realization. Some people feel tricked and get bitter. The smarter move is to quietly adjust how you move. You start checking deck plans instead of picking any cabin. You walk one deck over when the atrium is slammed. You sit out the today only sale because you know another one is coming. From the outside, nothing about your cruise looks different. Inside, everything is. You're no longer just along for the ride. You are choosing the route instead of letting the route choose you. You've just seen how the ship scripts your movement. Now think about what it does to your luggage. Ever wonder where your suitcase really goes after you hand it to the porter? Or who decides when it finally reaches your door? Secret 7. The reprice advantage. Most people think the game ends the moment they click book. Fare locked in, price frozen, move on with life. But on a lot of sailings, the real game is just starting. Cruise fares are like the ocean itself. They rise and fall with demand, promos, and how many cabins are left. Here is the part cruise lines will never highlight in big friendly letters. As long as you're before final payment, many will quietly honor a lower price if you catch it. They will not email you and they will not call you. You have to notice it and ask. That means grabbing your booking number, setting up a simple fare watch on the same ship and date, and checking it every few days. When you see the same cabin category dip below what you paid, you call or message your agent and politely request a reprice. Sometimes you get a straight rate reduction. Sometimes you get the difference back as onboard credit. Either way, you just earned back money for the exact same cruise. Meanwhile, your neighbors in identical cabins paid more simply because they never checked again. The cruise line is already updating the numbers behind the scenes. The only question is whether you stay fixed while the fare moves or move with it and keep that difference in your pocket. Secret 8. The embarkation window hack. Ask most people what time they're arriving at the port and you'll hear the same two answers. As early as possible to get on first, or whenever they can get there after work or traffic. Those are also the worst two times to walk into a terminal full of rolling suitcases and tired kids. Cruise check-in has a rhythm. There is an initial rush of early birds who show up long before their assigned time and end up held in holding areas or lines outside. Later in the afternoon, there is a second wave of people who cut it close and collide at once. In between those two spikes, there is a sweet spot where the machine is fully running but not overloaded. That is where you want to land. Aim to arrive roughly an hour after embarkation officially begins and close to your assigned window. By then, security staff are in flow. Check-in desks are moving fast. The cabins are often almost ready. You breeze through scanners, drop your bags, and walk onto the ship while everyone else is still trapped in a queue. Instead of hitting the first buffet like the crowd, you head to the main dining room or a quieter cafe that is almost always open on embarkation day. You complete muster as soon as the system allows, map a few shortcuts, and start your cruise at a calm table with real food. Same ship, same day, same ticket. Completely different first impression. Secret 9. Your door is not a signal. Door decorations look harmless. A cute sign with your family name, a magnet from past cruises, maybe even a little joke you saw online. It feels like personality. It can also become a broadcast you did not realize you were sending. Your cabin door sits in one of the narrowest, busiest corridors on the ship. Every guest and every crew member who passes your room sees whatever is stuck there. Certain symbols have picked up meanings on social media that are not what you intend. Some decorations can suggest your cabin is part of a big group or that you are very social. Others simply advertise that you're away a lot when the lights are off and the hall is quiet. On top of that, clutter in shared corridors is something crew have to work around during busy service runs and emergency drills. Shoes, trays, and bags left outside trip people. Large decorations can get knocked off or damaged and sometimes irritate the very staff you are depending on all week. The safest play is to keep your door neutral. No codes, no personal details, nothing left on the floor outside. If you want to make the space feel like yours, do it on the inside of the cabin, where only you and your people see it. Blending in at the door is not boring. It's how you keep your privacy, your safety, and your week from attracting the kind of attention you never actually asked for. Secret 10. Sea Day and Port Day Rhythm. If you only remember one thing about crowds on a cruise, remember this. The ship has a rhythm, and most people never hear it. Sea days pull everyone into the same places at the same times. Late breakfast, peak pool noon, elevator jams before lunch, pre-dinner bar crush. Port days flip it. Half the ship disappears, leaving entire decks almost empty for anyone who chooses to stay on board. Smart cruisers plan around that heartbeat. On sea days, you hit the pool early or late, not at noon. You book the main dining room for lunch instead of trying to find a table at the buffet. You explore indoor spaces like libraries, observation lounges, and aft decks while everyone else fights for loungers. On port days, You either go ashore right at opening and eat local, or you deliberately stay on the ship and treat it like your own private resort. Pools, hot tubs, even the spa are quieter and friendlier on those mornings. And once you feel that rhythm, you stop being surprised by crowds and start surfing past them. And that's where the last piece of the puzzle comes in, protecting your comfort so you can actually enjoy all that extra space. Secret 11. Your sleep and comfort system. A lot of people think upgrading comfort means paying for a suite. Sometimes it just means treating your standard cabin like a tiny, efficient studio. The ship controls motion, temperature swings, and noise outside your door. Inside, you control how well you buffer all of that. Pack earplugs and an eye mask so hallway noise and early morning light do not decide when you wake up. Ask your steward on day one if a fan or extra blanket is available. Small airflow changes make stuffy cabins feel fresh. Use the curtains properly. Close during hot afternoons to keep heat out. Slightly cracked at night if you like a faint glow. Create a simple drop zone by the vanity or shelf. Cruise card, lanyard, phone, charger, sunglasses all live there. No more last-minute panics because your card fell behind the bed. Keep the floor clear of shoes and bags so you're not stubbing your toe when the ship rocks at 2 a.m. When you sleep well, everything else gets easier. Decisions, patience, even willpower around spending. And once you've dialed in comfort on board, there's one final place you can take control that most people ignore until it's too late. Secret 12. Disembark smart, book your future smarter. Most passengers treat disembarkation like the end of the story. The line treats it like the beginning of the next one. The way you handle that last stretch decides whether you leave frazzled or already halfway into your next, smarter sailing. The night before, you check your folio in the app or on the TV. Fix any weird charges while guest services is still calm, and pack a small day bag with meds, documents, a charger, and a clean shirt. You decide whether you'll do self-assist early to beat the crowds, or take a later slot on purpose and relax over one last quiet coffee. Before you walk off, you hit the loyalty desk or app and collect information on any future cruise offers or credits. You don't buy yet, you take those details home, compare them to online and travel agent deals, and only then decide how to use them. That way, this cruise ends on your terms, and the next one starts that way too. And if you really want to tilt the whole experience in your favor, there's one bonus move you can make in that very first hour on your next ship. Bonus tip: the first day freedom move. The smartest cruisers don't wait until the last day to win back their time. They do it the moment they board. On embarkation day, skip the rush to unpack and start by exploring the ship while it's still quiet. Walk every deck, mark the hidden shortcuts between forward and aft, and note the lesser-known venues that most passengers won't discover until midweek. Visit guest services early to confirm dining times, cancel any automatic reservations you won't use, and request a table or cabin tweak before lines form later. By the time everyone else is still finding their bearings, you'll already know the ship's rhythm, where the crowds gather, when the elevators jam, and which decks stay silent after dark. That early orientation pays off all week, turning your cruise from reaction into control. First day freedom makes the whole voyage feel smoother. Cruise ships run on invisible playbooks, pricing, flow, and psychology. But now, you've got your own. Which secret surprised you most? Drop it in the comments so other travelers can learn from it too. If this helped you cruise smarter, tap like and subscribe. It tells the algorithm to show you more insider tips instead of another sales pitch. And when you're ready for more, watch the next video on your screen. Your voyage is just beginning.